This is something I've been working on for a lifetime. At this point in my life, I'm 69 years old. I've had years and years, oh my God, more years than you can even imagine, of experience in business. All the way from starting as a call center agent way back in the 70s to being a CEO and president as I am today. So, being the guy that I am, I started writing a book because I figured, okay, well, maybe someday someone will see this somewhere, pick it up, it'll plant a seed for them, and they'll get some of the lessons that I've worked hard to learn. So, with that, the book is called Lessons I've Learned in No Particular Order. I did grab onto a couple mentors, and all unbeknownst to them, those are the people that I learned with. So let me share with you some of the lessons I've learned in no particular order. Hey everybody, Steve Biederman. June 3rd, 2022, and I get the opportunity to talk to you about another lesson that I've learned in my long and steady career. So I really want to talk to you today about this idea of how you teach an organization to make decisions. And it seems sort of logical. I mean, you need people. You can't go to work without making decisions. But let me take you back a bit. Years ago, I did a morning talk show where I was asked different things that I believe in that help me, in terms of my own success and building my own business. And I had honestly never stopped to think about it. And it was a very difficult interview for me. Later, I began to wonder, what is it that I believe in? And here's the thing. We go about our business so forcefully and so actively and so in the moment that oftentimes we really never think about what we believe. We act out clearly what we think is right at the time and what we believe, but at the same time, stopping and saying, so what are these things I believe in? Well, I've talked about other things, and I plan to talk in the future about more lessons I've learned because I jotted them all down, and I continue to jot them down as I realize there are other things that I've learned. They come in no particular order, so that's how I talk about them in no particular order. Learning it is different for everybody. Most of us learn through doing, and oftentimes we don't have somebody telling us stop and think about it and hear what somebody with experience says. So I thought I'd share that with you today. When you are in the moment at work, you're making decisions. Now, as a manager, you know that, look, I'm paid to make decisions, so I'm going to make decisions. But the people that work in the organization often do not know where their latitude is and when they can say yes and when they can say no. And generally speaking, what you'll see is people not making a decision versus making one in the moment. So we will set up customer advocates or customer success people, and they will be there to interface with the client in urgent and critical matters. And while they're talking, that client is bringing to them, different issues that require decisions. The reason they get to customer success is because the decisions that were made up to that point didn't satisfy them. So now here you are. You're a customer advocate and you're sitting in front of a customer talking to that customer about problems that the organization normally doesn't get their arms around. And you have to listen to this and satisfy that customer. How do you do that if you don't know how to make a decision? What holds someone back when they can't decisively say, I will do this for you? Well, certainly they don't have a list. You can't list every single thing that comes up that has a decision tree attached to it. So you have to create an environment where you give trust to your people. I'm a big believer that I wouldn't have anybody working in the organization that I manage if I don't trust them. And you have to accept that. And trust is implied in the hiring and in the working with someone. And it has to happen from the senior, the top position. Now, you don't want people making decisions that are incredibly outside of reason. But even if somebody does, what's the outcome of that? Look, as a manager, I said earlier, we're paid to make decisions. So if in the moment that advocate makes a decision that isn't typically the decision that I would make, what do? Well, first thing I do is I support it. I get behind it, whatever that decision is, and I implement that decision, and I give people the latitude to be able to implement that decision. Being that I'm paid to make decisions myself, if it wasn't the right decision, we'll learn from it, and then I'll make a different decision for the future. And we'll look at that moment as a learning moment, and we'll look at that moment as something that we can debrief about and find some value in and understand why we made that decision. And by the way, sometimes you're going to find that that person, in this case, that advocate, made a decision that was a better decision than you thought you should make. I am no different in my seat than anybody else in an organization. In truth, everyone in their position is more of an expert at their position than I am. Everyone in their position is more of an expert at that position than I am. If you believe that, then what you will do is allow people to make those decisions. But you cannot underline a culture that is based in fear. You know, we all build organizations to some degree based on our personality. And if our personality can be one where it's difficult and you're critical, then people are not going to be apt to want to make a decision, even if you give them the latitude to do it. So if you say to someone, look, everybody, go make decisions, I'll support you, but then when they make that decision, you're critical, come on. It's not going to work, is it? It's just not going to work. And that is what's going to get out. So it's a mandate for an organization and for the leadership in every seat along the way to never criticize a decision in the moment, never criticize that decision publicly, always support that decision while you're living it, and then when necessary, debrief about it in a learning moment and gain value from it, and if necessary, make a different decision afterwards. But don't countermand that decision. At the same time, remember, as management in any level, you're paid to make decisions. So don't believe that an organization only works when certain people in certain seats make a decision. I'm just going to circle back. This is not a long lesson today, but it's absolutely critical. And it's critical because you need to remember, again, that people in their position are more of an expert at that position than you are sitting in your seat. Okay, I want to talk about this associated with a past lesson we talked about, which was pace. You know, pace in an organization, to me, it's a key pillar of making sure that things move and you create energy in an environment, you create energy internally and externally to the public when you move things along, when things keep moving. And without pace, you inevitably begin to lose things. And here's the thing, you don't know what you lose. So this is why we always say, you know, you have to control everything all the time. You control everything all the time because you don't know alternatively what the outcome may be. We don't know everyone. We don't know how everyone thinks. So you have to push things along, control everything you can, do something with that, promote the idea that make a decision so you have pace and things don't slow down. Now, I can tell you stories, you can tell yourself stories of situations where a decision wasn't made, or you felt like you couldn't make a decision, and you sent it along in the process, that situation to the next level within your operation. And while you were waiting for a decision, your competitor already made one. And that deal is off the table and it's in somebody else. Or that client is frustrated because you didn't immediately impact them. So think about it yourself this weekend and in the future as you listen to this, and then hopefully ruminate about it. That think about the moments that pace was affected because you didn't make a decision. And remember, it isn't you only making a decision. It's the allowance for every single person in an organization to make a decision. Now, one last piece. How do you, as a leader, train an organization to understand what is logical within the parameters of an organization and not? And it's very simple. It's not complicated, and it's not a lot of having to sit at the whiteboard and explain these are the ways I make a decision. It's living normally. It's being consistent. It's just recognizing that people around you are picking up on everything that you're doing. And if you're doing things well, if the organization is paced properly, moving forward, exciting, passionate, and decision-driven, then other people will be comfortable making decisions that they will say, within our company, and here we go, our NobleBiz way is to make a decision and to support each other and to feel that we care and about meeting the promises to our customer, and any decision based around our core value of meeting promises for our customer is okay in the moment. All right, well, listen, we're heading into a weekend. You take care, you be safe, understand that you need to make decisions. Thanks again, and look forward to talking to you in the future. Take care.